First press conference. Thank you for joining us today. Representative Andrews is going to get it started.
Thank you all for being here. We felt like a package in protecting unemployment and expanding unemployment rights was pertinent right now, given what we're seeing with the economy nationally and in Michigan. We've shed 78,000 manufacturing jobs nationally, and employment is barely growing at this point. Michigan's top five in the country right now for unemployment. So as we see the economy starting to falter because of inexplicable decisions made at the federal level, it seems pertinent that we do what we can to protect workers here in Michigan now, before things get as bad as they could be. So we have a package here that tries to address a lot of these concerns. Everything from adjusting the way that the unemployment rates are, garnishments and the minimum percentages that are taken off, all the way down to how we classify workers, which is my bill in the package. It creates the ABC test, replacing the existing IRS test. It's a simpler way to classify workers and make it a lot easier for us to know who is really an independent contractor and who is not. Presently, a lot of employers will use independent contractor status as a way to sort of bypass having to pay benefits and keep it then by proxy keeps the employee from being able to collect other benefits. So using the ABC test, a test which other states have already adopted, makes it a lot easier for us to know who is actually an independent contractor and who is not, so that people are able to get their unemployment benefits that they've earned. With that, I'd like to pass it on to Representative McKinney to talk about his bills in the
package. Thank you, Rep. Andrews. Today we are taking an important step forward for Michigan's workers and families. For too long, our unemployment insurance system has not kept pace with the needs of the people it was designed to serve. At 4.1%, Michigan's unemployment insurance benefit rate is among the lowest in the nation. That means when someone loses a job through no fault of their own, because we're at will state, they're left with too little to cover the basics: rent, groceries, transportation, and childcare. My bill in this package raises the benefit rate to 5.1% of a worker's quarterly earnings. I just found out that my bill has the lucky number, House Bill 5000. And if with any luck, we'll get this across the finish line to the governor's desk. That change might seem small on paper, but in reality, it makes a big difference for Michiganders. For workers who aren't at the maximum benefit, especially minimum wage workers and low wage workers, this is real money that helps keep families afloat when they search for new employment. Unemployment insurance is not a handout. Let me say that again. Unemployment insurance is not a handout. It's a lifeline that people earn through their work, and it stabilizes families as well as entire communities in our economy. When regular Michiganders, even those who are unemployed, can keep the lights on, pay their bills, have disposable income to shop at local businesses, everyone benefits. By modernizing our benefit rate, we are making sure Michigan's unemployment system reflects fairness, dignity, and respect for work. We're saying clearly, if you work hard, you will have support when you need it most. This is about protecting families during difficult times, and it's about making sure Michigan is not at the bottom of the pack, but leading with policies that build people up. Now, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Representative Mizon.
Thank you, Rep. McKinney. Thank you all for being here this morning to discuss our work in protecting workers and those facing unemployment. This package is about recognizing the warning signs and financial hardships that pull hardworking Michiganders into unemployment. We are taking action to ensure that Michiganders facing unemployment due to no fault of their own do not have to navigate this crisis alone. Unemployment benefits can be a lifeline for those trying to get back up on their feet. As workers make their way up the employment ladder, student loans, child support, and tax garnishment is too often a burden that pulls them back down. Recently, the UIA lifted a pause on collecting overpayments that the agency made to many Michiganders during the COVID-19 pandemic by no fault of then out-of-work Michiganders. And this month, 350,000 people have been burdened with having to repay benefits they should not have received from the UIA in the first place. These are claims dating back to March 2020. This is forcing tens of thousands of Michiganders to find extra money in their pockets or use their hard-earned wages to pay for these oversights. I'm the proud sponsor of a bill that would provide much-needed relief to the thousands of individuals, ensuring that garnishment does not plunge them into poverty or bankruptcy. Though the federal limit on the amount of an individual's earning that may be periodically garnished is 25%, it's twice as high in Michigan. Here, up to 50% of your disposable earnings can be garnished for child support. This high rate means that workers have less income to take care of other responsibilities, including child care and paying for their next meal or escaping the cycle of poverty. My bill extends the needed help to those folks, lowering Michigan's garnishment rate to 20% across the board so that they can continue to pay off their debts while trying to keep up with the cost of living. We should not be punishing Michiganders when they are desperately trying to find another job or care for their loved ones. And I'm proud to join my House Democratic colleagues in introducing legislation that would uplift Michiganders and protect the thousands of workers impacted by the UIA's recent decisions. And with that, I would like to introduce Ellie Jordan, who is the public benefits law attorney with the Michigan Poverty Law Program.
Thank you so much, Representative, and thank you. It is an honor to be here as we work to strengthen unemployment programming in Michigan. Unemployment insurance is a crucial part of the social safety net that we all need to survive and thrive. Each of us may be only one pandemic, one stop work order away from relying on this vital economic resource. There's only there to protect us all. We must do everything that we can to ensure that this safety net is both robust and equitable. My name's Ellie Jordan. I work with the Michigan Poverty Law Program, where we provide legal services to empower low-income individuals and communities. As lawyers for poor people, our colleagues have seen the challenges that Michiganders often face when they're navigating the complex UIA procedures, the stress that people feel, the fear that plays out in each and every one of our clients' living rooms and kitchen tables. We're grateful to the legislature for the passage of historic reforms the last session, but our work isn't done. We celebrate this package as an important step forward. In particular, the package's focus on making agency communications more understandable and helpful to workers who receive them is incredibly timely. This ensures that individuals navigating the complex process of unemployment benefits do so with clarity and with confidence. Further, we're really pleased to see the increased benefit amounts for low-income workers who won't benefit from other recent changes and increased access to hardship waivers for low-income workers. With UIA's recent announcement that the representative alluded to, that they will be restarting collections against up to 350,000 Michiganders, upholding due process is top of mind. It's crucial that the UIA support the rights of workers as they navigate the benefit process after losing a job. Such a stressful time to have to navigate anyway. They shouldn't be navigating these difficult collections processes. This is important work. And we're really pleased that the legislature is paying attention to this crucial part of our safety net.
So with that, Representative Weiss and I are happy to take any questions from the press.
Yeah, I guess if you guys can just go over how many bills are in the package, what the bill numbers are, and then like a sentence describing what each bill does.
Sure, I can do that, and they are all different. So I can also share this afterwards with you too, if you'd like. But it's there are 9 bills in the package, 5,000 through 5,008. There were 2 other bills that were previously introduced by Representative Amos O'Neill, House Bill 4406 and 4405, that are also relevant to the work here. Those 2 bills dealt with seasonal workers, allowing seasonal workers to collect unemployment during off-season, and low-wage school employees, allowing them to collect unemployment during summer and winter breaks when they are not employed. And then the bills before us today, Representative McKinney discussed his bill a bit. His bill increased the benefit rate up to 5.1% from 4.1%. House Bill 5001, which is Representative Stephanie Young bill, restores the remuneration formula from the 90s that incentivizes individuals to take part in part-time or temporary work while they are unemployed. 5002, which is Denise Metzner's bill, is a plain language bill requiring correspondence between the UAA to be written at a fourth grade level. This was a big issue we saw during COVID when we got a large increase in contacts from constituents who had no idea, and like even us reading some of the documents didn't know what it meant. And so we wanted to make sure that that language is clear and easy to understand. House Bill 5003, which is a T. Carter bill, hardship waiver increases it up to 200% of the federal poverty level. House Bill 5004, Representative Breen, deletes the current burdensome language around involuntary leave for medical reasons. My bill in the package, House Bill 5005, also deletes some burdensome language around no call, no show if someone is absent because of a medical emergency. 5006, which is Representative Miller's bill, due process rights, which Ellie referred to, requiring the UIA to have an in-person or telephone appeals hearing during the process. House Bill 5007, Representative Andrews' bill, which he discussed in depth around the ABC test. 5008, Representative Song's bill, which is the garnishment change that she described, lowering it down to 20% instead of 50%. And then I just mentioned the O'Neill bills.
Do any of you have stories from, before you were elected officials where any of these expanded protections would have helped you or your family?
Oh, go ahead.
No, please.
Go, sis. I go after you.
Please.
Oh, you want me to? Okay. Well, yes. Not me in particular, but some of my constituents, my neighbors, and even family members. As you know, I talk about this all the time. I represent the poorest house district in the state of Michigan. Median income right now is around $14,000. Northeast Detroit, South Warren. And so one of the things that happened, especially during the COVID years, when everybody was losing their jobs, they were getting some type of benefits, but in reality, like it wasn't enough still. And so, like those low income workers or minimum wage workers, those folks on those independent contracts, man, like they're getting shammed in this system. And so these bills will help them day in and day out and ensure that their work is dignified, and that, they get something back because they earned it. They put in the work already, and they're trying to figure out in their time of need, when they're trying to figure out where to go in their new job, and where they're going to be placed, they need these benefits. So I could talk on and on about it. If you want to go, yeah.
I could go down the line of these bills and indicate different clients that would have benefited from these bills being in place. I think I highlighted the need for the plain language, and that jumps out quite a bit. And I think just the stress that people go through when they receive. There's tons of social science already out there helping us understand that this time when you are facing uncertainty and needing that support, it's already very difficult for people to accept that kind of support, and they are feeling so much fear and scarcity that when those notices are unintelligible, it is incredibly stressful and just adds insult to injury to people who are already down. The fear that I've seen play out for people when it's unclear and competing notices are coming in that seem to mean totally different things, is really challenging. But I also want to focus, we see across the rural parts of Michigan, we see people in that are really inappropriately deemed in this sort of independent contractor role, and that bill will absolutely help people in those positions. People who were deeply affected by the pandemic, and their employment was impacted, pushed onto unemployment for the first time in their lives, having to navigate some of the technology for the first time, and trying to figure out what these notices meant all at the same time. And then to not have effective due process at the end when things don't go the way it's supposed to, all really was a recipe for a lot of difficulties and added stress to people who are already suffering so much. Yeah, we could go on, but
Yeah.
I'll add too, and I mentioned it earlier, but just serving during COVID, the number and the amount of complaints that we got, and Ellie mentioned the competing notices, we had a hard time in our office just deciphering what all of it meant and getting help for constituents. And these are folks, again, as Ellie mentioned, who are already dealing with so much stress and worried about their health and worried about their family and worried about how they were going to pay bills and if they're going to be able to make their mortgage payment and whatever was going on. And then to get these notices and not be able to decipher what they mean. The amount of stress and undue hardship on those families, we can't underscore what they had to go through. And our offices got to see that from the folks who reached out. And those are just the folks that reached out. We don't know about the people who didn't and what their stories are like and what they're going through now.
There's been a really big push in the House Republican caucus. They keep talking about waste, fraud, and abuse. It's coming from the state government, federal government, that social safety net, things like Medicaid, UIA, bridge cards, all that sort of stuff. So how does that rhetoric and their push their work with packages like this, and what sense are you getting from their leadership and the people working on those bills about their thoughts on a package like this?
Can I just say that the rhetoric from the right has really shown that they are so out of touch with workers and with low-income families. Just this past 2 weeks after the UIA announcement, my office received inquiries from constituents because they probably received letters or notices in the mail recently and didn't know how to navigate it. And we are 5 years out from the pandemic. This is an issue that should have been addressed, and we are working to address it with this package because we know that this is a major issue. It's very timely, and unemployment, as my colleagues mentioned, this is not a handout. This is their money, their hard-earned money that we as the government have taken from them, and we are giving it back to them, and they deserve their fair share. So for them to accuse Michiganders of being waste, fraud, and abuse, I would argue that there is a portrait in this building that I consider waste, fraud, and abuse. Thank you.
I think out of touch is right when we talk about this. I think everybody agrees that the state government could run better and more efficiently. We should always be striving for better service and to be faster and more efficient. But when you say that you want more efficiency, but then you start harping on what they're calling phantom jobs, but are in reality unfilled roles, you're kind of working at odds with yourself. I think, if those unfilled roles were filled, and, we've been in a period up until now where it's been hard to find enough workers for jobs all across the economy, you cut those jobs that need to be filled. What you're doing is you're actually locking in inefficiency and you're locking in an inability to provide service. Yeah. And so we look at these kind of critically low staffing levels all the way across our state government, whether it's UIA, Department of Corrections, state police, to say that we need to, delete all of these unfilled roles. You're just going to lock in understaffing, lock in inefficiency, and kind of create a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I think, the better way to address it is to go after the inefficiencies in the law itself, kind of what we're doing right here, make the system work better for people, and, hopefully fill those unfilled positions.
If I could just say one thing too, just to add to all that, we are exactly today 13 days out from a government shutdown here in Michigan if we don't get a budget passed. And we have state workers, school employees, other folks that may be eligible for some of these benefits starting as soon as 13 days from now if we are not able to get a budget across the finish line. And a package like this, again, helps ensure that in the event where the government to shut down or the federal government was to shut down, employees here in Michigan, and not just state employees, not just school employees, but other industries across the economy that will be devastated and impacted by a shutdown here in Michigan or federally, still are able to collect the benefits that, again, as Representative Song pointed out, it's not a handout. They paid for. It is a benefit that they have earned, that those protections are there so that in the event where they were to lose their job because of the government's inability to get a budget passed, they would still be able to collect benefits and it would not devastate our economy as much if we have these in place.
Thank you.